Hi guys, and welcome back to the IndustryMe YouTube channel. And today we're here with Sam Fischer. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm out of breath only because I ran down the stairs. My nephew was upstairs and it was a tickle attack. Thought this was later, and we're here. We're doing it. We're all right. I've got my colorful jumper on, so we're fine.
Yeah, everything's all good. We're all here now. We can get down to things. It's all good. What would you say is the statement of the album?
The statement of the album. I guess it's the two conversations between me and myself, and it's or the singular conversation between the two versions of me. So one part is the title of the album is "I love you, please don't hate me." So it's me saying to me, I love you. And the other part of me saying, please don't hate me. Because I don't know, it's not been an amazing process to make this album. And I think over the last couple years, having success during the pandemic, kind of breaking down as a person because, everything I'd always dreamed of was getting crushed a bit by the pandemic, and I kind of became the worst version of myself. So it's kind of a journey of me like exploring the love I have for myself and how that's really hard to feel when uh you kind of hate yourself sometimes. So I love you, please don't hate me really is the statement of the album.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a great album title, to be fair. I think
Thank
that
you.
from what you've told me, that perfectly sort of sums up what it's going to be about. And it's, as you said, it's the mission statement. Yeah, no, I think that's very interesting because, like you said, I think a lot of people had that sort of introspection within themselves during the pandemic, and I think a lot of people will sort of relate to that message and to the music, I imagine as well. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what the album sounds like. Sounds like it's
Good.
got some interesting themes.
Hell yeah. It does. It does. And like it's not all doom and gloom. I know that a lot of my songs and probably what I'm known for is like my sad lyrics. Um, or rather, let's scratch that, my relatable lyrics. But there are love songs and there are bops and there are bangers and there's elation on the album and there's realization and it's just everything I felt over the last 4 years going through a pandemic, kind of getting so close to achieving my dreams, and then the dreams happened, but the reality was different to what I thought they were. So it's a lot of it's very human. The album is extremely human. But yeah, it wasn't the romantic process that you see in all these documentaries of people like going away to Jamaica for a month and they're like a family and they're like in the water taking photos, being like, oh, we're so good, we made a banger today, let's get drunk on the beat. Like it's not that. It was like me in a bedroom pulling my hair out after a Zoom session ended and like going to get my eyes checked. So pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, I feel like the way you've made it is probably more akin to how music is made because I'm sure there is a lot of music made, like you said, sort of people going out partying and going, "Yeah, we just made this tune," but like obviously, especially at the start, you're going to be in your bedroom, sort of thinking like, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit rough today. What should I talk about?" Like, and like you said, it's that relatability and that's what people want.
Totally, totally. I mean, I think, my favorite artists and songwriters are those that can give me the words to describe something I'm feeling or going through that I haven't found myself. So, one thing about my songs is like I'm just simply not a good enough writer to write the like super specific, like Julia Michaels is incredible at it, and Sasha Sloan, and the like very like nitty-gritty detail of like a scene, and I'm more like, here's generally what I'm going through, and you can put yourself into the story if it speaks to you. So, yep, that's that's what it is. I'm excited for people to hear it. I'm just excited for people to have a body of work from me.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I'm sure your fans are because I always feel like with a body of work, you're able to tell your story in a more sort of full on and more impactful way. Because no, singles are good and they tell a little bit of the story, but the album is there to sort of encompass all those little stories into one and sort of say this, as you said, this is my statement, this is what I want to say. So
Completely, completely. Yeah.
yeah. No, we'll definitely be interested to see how the album turns out in September then.
Oh yeah.
So one thing I found is that your classically trained on the saxophone and the violin. How did this influence sort of your musical style or your approach to music?
Damn, my bro did his research, huh? The pulling out the saxophone reference. Yeah, I guess I am. I think, my mom tells me that I was singing before I could talk. And I was 3 years old. It's maybe one of my like earliest memories of life is I was 3 years old and my mum, who loves classical music, took me to see a violinist and her name is Queenie. And kind of, I guess I left there and I was like, I want to do that. And so my mum went and got me this tiny little violin. It's literally like this big. And I started playing violin there and I fell in love with just music. And I feel like I could read music before I could read words. And I don't know, like there's no real like the saxophone. I the reason I picked up the saxophone was because the high school I was going to had a great big band, like or an amazing jazz band, and I thought it was really fun. I wanted to get into that, and then I got into the jazz band, and the leader of it heard me singing and was like, "Okay, you're never gonna play saxophone with us. You're just gonna sing with us." So I am trained in, I guess, saxophone, but like I haven't played that for goodness a long time now. But my how has that influenced everything? I think it's just given me like a fierce, deep, like organic love for music. Um, but honestly, man, I'm just not that good at anything else. Like it was either this or like I don't know. Like I really have no idea what I'd be doing. It was like music and tennis was my whole life. And I wasn't good enough at tennis. I'm not tall enough for tennis. And you know, music was it. So I'm just I'm lucky that this stuff is kind of working out.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And hey, maybe the parallel universe, there's a Sam Fisher who's winning Wimbledon and doing bits on the tennis court.
Man, you know what? I'm jealous of them because the Sam Fisher that's winning Wimbledon is A, rich as hell. B, has a stunning body. And C, doesn't really need to be on social media at all because he's just out there smacking. So yeah, I kind of wish I had that life. I feel like being a pro tennis player, even though obviously it's extremely hard and takes a lot of dedication. Um, I think the perks would be pretty lit.
Yeah, well, like you said, you have to do less promotion because you promote yourself by playing tennis.
You
So
know what I mean? I'm not gonna get into Wimbledon by putting up a viral TikTok.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I don't think I've heard of many tennis players on. I mean, I don't use TikTok myself, so I can't
Oh,
comment.
bless.
I haven't heard of many tennis players on TikTok, but I don't know.
I'm sure they're on there, but I'm sure it's just for like a bit of fun.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean, but no, that's interesting. That sort of like, as you said, you were able to sing before you could talk. It's like a sign that it was obviously around you as you were growing, as you were like growing and developing, but also like, well, people. I feel like people all have a talent for something in life, whether that's like, they're a scientist or they can sing or, as you said, be able to play tennis. But it's
Yeah,
just about honing that skill and
it is. And I
taking it as
mean,
far as you can.
totally. And I mean, look, like life is really hard, and I'm very lucky that I kind of found something that I was super passionate about so early before I even knew that like that's really what like this kind of like gravitational pull was me like the beginning stages of what would end up being like my like purpose in life. And I think with music the game is constantly changing, and obviously the past couple years with TikTok and social media in general, it just you kind of have to evolve with it, and if you don't, it's really hard to stay motivated to continue to do it. But like music's really hard. And the first EP I ever put out was called Not a Hobby. And uh I titled it that because for the longest time, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people back home in Australia were very negative about me living in the US and going for music. And I think it wasn't until really this city was on the radio that people were like, always knew you could do it. And I was like, okay. So it's I think with the arts in general, and maybe it's I don't know. I don't know if it's like a society thing, but different societies around the world. But um, I think it's very easy uh to kind of hear someone express their passion for the arts, and then it's very easy for people who are outside of that to write it off as if it's not a legitimate uh life path or a passion or something. And I just think that's so shitty. Like, I had like when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I had people telling me to like pack up the violin and go and study whatever. And I'm like, chill. Like, I don't even understand my own emotions. How can you have so many negative ones right now? So it's a bit weird, but it's hard. And I respect everyone who's in any medium of arts in this life. It is super hard, and it takes a lot of self-belief, and we hear no more than we hear yes times 1,000. And I'm sure it's the same for you as a writer, as a journalist. Getting the opportunities, having people believe in your opinion. And that's the thing about the creative arts, is that it's all subjective and it's all based on someone's opinion. And a record exec could wake up, hear a song, think it's the biggest thing in the world, change that person's life, and another record exec could hear the same song and absolutely hate it. You know what I mean? Like, it just, so much luck. And to me, luck is timing meets preparation and opportunity. So anyway, that's my spiel.
No, no, I think that's a very interesting statement you said there, because I think, like you said, with anything you try to do, it is difficult and you are going to get setbacks. And as you said, people sort of going, oh, and I mean, to me, hearing that like someone was like whinging at you at 7 about you doing music, I mean, you're 7, like those 7-year-olds, like, I mean, school, you do go to school and stuff, but it's not quite. I don't know if it's different in Australia, but I remember at 7. I mean, we weren't like playing with toys anymore, but we weren't doing like hardcore studying or anything like that. So
You know what I mean? I mean, it was mostly, I mean, my dad was very against me doing anything in the arts. And I think uh a lot of my determination and my like blind faith in myself is kind of in spite of those people, and proving people wrong has been a very big driving factor in my life. So yeah, everyone needs something to propel them forward.
no, they do definitely, and I think that shows that you have great mental strength to sort of go past those comments from people and sort of carry on with something you love and what you want to do.
Thanks,
And
man. Like I said, just can't really do anything else.
yeah, well, yeah, that's yeah, like you said, it's what you're good at, it's what you want to do, so it's what you've got to do.
That's
And yeah,
it.
it's like with me with this. Like when I first told people I want to be a music journalist, they were like, "Hey, how are you going to do that? I don't know many music journalists."
Yeah,
And then eventually you show them your work, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I guess you can be a music journalist." I was like, "Yes."
completely. Completely. And also, I'm sure you found that when you start, interviewing more prominent people and artists and whatever, uh, people all of a sudden turn around and go, wow, like you've been killing it. And you're like, okay, well, I've been working for a decade to try and get to this point. It's like that image of a mountain, or like an iceberg and or glacier, and you see the tip of it and you don't see the entire thing that's underwater. So it's just, takes 10 years, takes 15 years to become an overnight sensation. And we're out here though. Proud of you,
Yeah.
bro.
I wouldn't say I'm quite an overnight sensation, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Me neither. But hey, people described me as that, and I said, well, that's not the case. But I'll take you saying sensation next to my name any day. So whatever.
Yeah,
Let them think it.
yeah. You gotta take the good comments. No, I definitely agree. It's a sign you're doing well.
Exactly.
You did briefly mention there about you moving to LA. What would you say is the biggest lesson you learned after moving over there?
It's interesting because I've just left. Like I've just moved away from LA after living there for 9 years. And if I could go back and tell myself uh, anything, give any advice, it would be to just lean on the people around me a little more. I think, especially in the arts, people have a lot of pride in what they do, and everyone wants to make it themselves. And I just think, so sorry, I've got nephews running upstairs. I just think I would say lean on the people around you, ask for help. You are never going to receive something if you don't ask for it. It's just never going to come to people like that. And I think that it's crazy to it's not crazy, but it makes it a lot harder for you to go it alone. So I would just say don't be so proud, ask for help, um, and lean on the people around you emotionally as well. Just kind of, yeah. I know LA's a hard place until it was a couple years before I had any kind of schedule. And LA, I feel like any major city really, but LA especially, I think if you don't know what you're doing with your days, it just gets a bit lonely.
Yeah, oh, no, that's some really good advice. I'm not gonna lie, and yeah, I completely agree with you. I think, as you said, whether emotionally or just in general, you do need to like connect with other people and sort of just let them know how you're feeling inside and out. Because you can't if you keep it bottled in, it ain't gonna help you. So you gotta let people know. But yeah, that's
Hard. It's hard, man. It's hard. Like I don't fault people for keeping it inside. It's scary to be vulnerable, especially in a I don't know, an industry that rewards vulnerability in art form, but I think maybe it's changing. It is changing a lot, but like, hearing that someone is a little emotionally unstable right now or not as steady, it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like people shy away from working with them sometimes. But I don't know. I hope it is changing, which is nice.
Yeah, that's good. That is interesting though, because there is, as you say, there's a contradiction there between, oh yes, we really enjoy that really sad, powerful song, but don't tell us about why you made that song. We don't want to know. That is,
Exactly. But I do think it's changing. And I think, a good example of that, like take Lewis Capaldi, for example, who's a just the most wonderful human. Um, his songs are sad as shit. They're bangers, they're belters. Songs are sad as shit. He is one of the nicest people in the whole game, and is very genuine. And I think it's amazing that, for the majority of his career, his like outward persona is this like happy-go-lucky, very funny, self-deprecating kind of person. And now he's opened up about his struggle with Tourette's and his anxiety, and really giving a voice to a lot of people who I feel like didn't have that before, couldn't see themselves in a star. Um, so I do think it's changing. I think it's good. I think it's good it's changing. Um, but yeah, it is traditionally, it has historically, it's definitely been like, I don't know, celebrities need to be stoic as hell, and then everything falls apart, and everyone, I don't know, people delight in celebrities' demise sometimes. So it's good it's changing.
yes, it definitely is. And I always feel like, and I think, I can't remember who it was. I think it was somebody from the new House of the Dragon series. I think they're asking people, like, what is the biggest less thing you'd want humans to do? And I think they said he's just learn to empathize, empathy lessons.
Yeah, totally. No, completely. Um, yeah. like learn that your struggle is a not yours alone, but also learn that someone else like might be struggling with something that you excel at. And it's just hard to understand. Well, it's hard to understand. Just try to understand that not everyone is the same. Not everyone's built the same. Not everyone feels the same. So yeah,
No,
it's such a
definitely.
it's such a big conversation. It's so nuanced, and everyone's take is different. And so I think it's just being nicer to each other.
Yeah, definitely. I think just a bit of empathy, bit of kindness, that'll make the world maybe not a huge bit better, but a little bit better.
It goes a long way, even if you help one person. That's you're doing all right, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's why I find it's good now that there are organisations out there like Help Musicians and Spoke World, which, help with mental health, and they're like specifically looking into that for music artists. And I think that will have a big benefit, like you say. And it appears there are conversations being had at record labels now about these things. So
No, it's fantastic. And I mean, you know, Jason Eiley, the head of Sony UK, is a big advocate for mental health, and he's been fantastic and very instrumental in just like, you know, really uh pushing people to open up and be honest with themselves and take mental health days if you need it. Take, you know, providing resources for people who work within the industry as well as the artists and the songwriters and producers, etc. And just providing mental help. Like it is hard out here. It really is. So yeah, I like the industry is changing, and it's, you know, it's nice to be signed to Sony somewhere where they really care about that. So
no, it's good to hear, and it's good that the head of Sony is taking that approach to things because, it's important
it
to
is.
make sure that your artists are. Well, I think with every workplace, I think as a manager, you should, make sure that your employees are in the best of spirits because you're not going to get the best out of them if they're not at their best, are you? I definitely feel that mental health in general has improved a lot, whether it's in the music industry or in general. But as you said, there's still ways to come, but it's getting better, and that's all you can ask for, really.
It is for sure, for sure. I mean, I just, you know, the one thing I don't want to happen is for it to become a trend, because mental health isn't a trend, and getting and talking about your, you know, your therapist isn't a trend. Um, and I think it also takes away from like the real issues and getting, you know, the funding that really the mental health um industry needs from the government, you know. And I think if it becomes a trend, people don't take it as serious. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think that anyone who speaks out on their own mental health is just trying to get in on a trend. But yeah, I think it's from the public perspective. If they all see, you know, all these artists all of a sudden speaking out about their mental health, if they'll be like, oh, another one, like, oh, he's just jumping on whatever. Like, it's not that. It's just we're people too, and it's easy to forget that. I think when we have a public persona and a private persona and whatever. Prince used to say that the only way that he could deal with his massive celebrity was by thinking about Prince as a different person. And he would talk about Prince like, oh, when Prince did this and when Prince did that. And so that's the only way he could deal with it. And I think that's brilliant. It's great. Can't imagine.
Yeah, no, I think that is an interesting approach because I suppose a lot of artists, especially like the bigger ones, can be seen as like a character, I guess. And I guess if you're playing this character in public, but you're able to be yourself in private, that sort of, I guess, gives you a balance in that, I guess.
Yeah, it does. It totally does. I don't really have that luxury because my name is Sam Fisher and my artist name is also Sam Fisher. And sometimes it's hard, the two get mixed up. But you know, we're just making music here. We're not curing cancer. There are it's important what we do because it does help people, but I think it's also important to realize what we're doing is like quite fun, and we're quite privileged to be able to do this. So yeah, that is not lost on me for sure. Sometimes it is. Right now, it's not.
Yeah, definitely. That's good to hear. So who is an artist you'd like to collaborate with who you think would take your sound in like a new direction?
Who would take my sound in a new direction? That is such an interesting question. Um, I've done a lot of collaboration. I love it. I think it's brilliant. Take my sound in a different direction. I've been really into Remy Wolf recently. I just think Remy Wolf is like so cool and no one else does what she does. So that would be really cool. Yeah, let me like, God, it's like, do you ever like when people are like, hey, what artist are you listening to right now? And you're like, I don't I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
let me quickly check my Spotify.
right. Um, but yeah, I would, even though I think we do similar things, Holly Humberstone, I think, is just an angel, like just an unbelievable artist. Unbelievable. And she's the nicest person. Um, yeah. I would also like be so random, but like uh Flow. Like this like throwback kind of 90s R&B or early 2000s R&B thing, like very like Dark Child stuff. Like that is like what I grew up on. It would be super cool to like collaborate on something like that. Just something with a bit of soul, like yeah, like Flo or Jasmine Sullivan or like I think Mahalia is amazing. Uh yeah, just some cool shit. I don't know. Something that people wouldn't expect maybe would be fun, I think, to collaborate. Because that's my foundation. Like that soul kind of music is my foundation, my first cuts as a songwriter in the industry, with that kind of slow jam soul. Like my first like big songwriting cut was Confidently Lost for Sabrina Claudio, and that is like a slow jam R&B record. So yeah, I would love to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Those all sound like they'd be interesting collabs. And well, you're not the first person to say Flo would have asked that question. So
That's so good. That's so fucking good.
yeah, they are really like sort of taking our because I feel like R&B in this country in particular is sort of not given the love and attention it deserves. And I
Mm.
think what they're doing and Mahalia and all the other very talented artists, they're sort of pushing it back into the mainstream now, which I think it rightfully deserves to be there.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's interesting, living in the US as I have been, because R&B and hip hop is huge over here, and uh you have people like SZA, like Jasmine Sullivan, um who are continuing to just like shine in that world, like Summer Walker, like Kaylani. Like it just, this goes on and on. Kaylani, that would I would I would kill to fucking work with Kaylani. God, I think she's incredible. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're all talented artists, like you say. So yeah, but definitely from that wide range of artists you're given there, I think there'd be some interesting collabs there. So
Yeah, for
we'll
sure.
see if they
I'm
happen.
down to, I'm down to work with anyone. Whoever wants to work, I'm down.
So I was just wondering, during the process of this new album, what was the lyric that you wrote down, which after like writing it down, it sort of like made you go, "Oh wow," or sort of had an emotional impact on you?
Um, there's a song on the album called Somebody Cares, and the the hook line is I just want to be somebody cares about. And I've had this like I think so I was quite an overachieving kid. I was um and I think the overachieving kid to people pleasing adult pipeline is pretty common. And you know, throughout the pandemic, I was having so much success and I wasn't getting to live it because we were all in our homes and but my social media persona was like, look how great things are. And I wish at that time that I'd just been really honest on social media and be like I'm trying to be grateful, but I'm so sad that like I can't be out there, you know, I can't be opening for Niall Horan on his US tour. I can't be in Australia at the Arias for my very first nomination. Like it was quite a hard time and all I wanted to do was be a mess. And I've had this fascination with being a mess. And I think it's because as a kid, I was overachieving and I was a old soul and like I was always very like capable and I could always hold myself in any room at any age. And so as I kind of broke during the pandemic, emotionally and mentally, I don't know, like I wanted to part of me felt like if I didn't go out and like get totally fucked up, if I didn't like start using a bunch of drugs, if I didn't go and do something fucking stupid, no one would give a shit. And so I would do this horrible thing where I would start a fight with someone just to get like to get an emotional response. And that's horrible. And the line, like, I just want to be somebody somebody cares about. Uh yeah. Just because people don't ask me if I'm okay. Because I always come across okay. So that did me good. There are a bunch of lyrics, but that one especially, I was like, that's honest.
No, and as you can tell from the fact that you've been able to sort of give so much sort of backstory to that lyric and sort of where it comes from, you can tell that it means a lot to you. And yeah, we do tend to unfortunately do things we don't mean to do and emotionally react to things, but that's because we're human. So you have to just learn from your mistakes and
Yeah, and
become a
just
better
push up,
person.
keep it pushing. Yeah, I've just started with a new therapist, and we're working on a bunch of stuff. So she said a quote from her is she said things. Wait, I want to get this right. She said, sometimes things fall apart to fall into place, and I thought that was like very profound, and I think it kind of makes you be a little kinder to yourself when things aren't going the right way because maybe it's just you being pushed in the direction that you're supposed to be going. So that's the inner workings of my brain.
Yeah, no, that's good. And a bit of therapy or counselling, I think, is always good. When I myself had counselling, like I'd had these sort of issues and stuff for ages, but they were just able to sort of put it in a way that made me think, oh, okay, I can
Yeah,
sort these issues out and get better.
right? That's great, man. I mean, that's the beauty of a good therapist is it's almost like finding new ways to talk to yourself about the same issues.
Yeah, definitely. I think with anyone who's going through it, I'd definitely recommend therapy, counselling, whatever you can afford. So.
1,000%.
My final question for you is, what is some advice you would give to up and coming artists?
Advice I would give to up and coming artists. Make sure you really love what you do. Like make sure that like regardless of the numbers, regardless of the noise, at the end of the day, you can sit down, you can write a song, you can listen to music and feel the same fire that you felt when you first started doing this. Um, and like I said before, ask for help. Lean on your friends. Like, it's easier said than done, but like try to surround yourself with both people who are in, I guess, like in music, but also like find people who don't give a fuck about what you do. You know what I mean? Like, find people who are like not gonna ask you 1,000 questions about your job, because at the end of the day, it might be a hobby, it might be a passion, it might be whatever, but this is our job and this is our lives, and it's great. But I don't know. My group of friends bring me the fuck down to earth when my head gets too big. So, yeah, surround yourself with positive people and people who don't give a fuck about what you do, and lean on them, and just make sure you love what you do. And don't let TikTok be all that ends all, because there are many ways to do this, I think.
No, definitely. I think that's good advice. I always feel like you need to love what you're doing to sort of pursue it, because at the end of the day, if you don't love it, it's not probably going to come across well 9 times out of 10, and people are going
Yeah,
to see that.
it's hard. Shit is hard. But yeah, I don't know. Also, like, stay healthy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, biggest advice I think there. And yeah, I always like I don't myself use TikTok, so I'm obviously aware of what it is, and I'm aware of stuff that does well in it, how it has helped up music artists. But it isn't the be or end all, because there's other social media platforms, there's other ways to advertise yourself. The
Sure.
music comes first before the viral video, because no one's going to listen to the music if the
Yeah,
music is rubbish.
exactly.
And also, something else will just replace it eventually.
Exactly. Ah. We're out here. We're doing it. We're doing it.
We are indeed. Well, Sam, that was a great chat. Talked about a lot of good things. Had a very interesting chat, I think. Thank you for speaking to Industry Me, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Hey, thank you so much. It was a really good chat. You're a great interviewer. Keep
Thank you
doing it.
very much.